Okay, guys, we're going to start with how to make this Marco Polo app. So I would really encourage you guys to draw this out, make a sketch what the user interface is going to look like. I have a copy of what I'm going to have it to look like here. Let's start with a label and a row. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring in a row. This is going to be for my score and my high score. So I'm going to bring in a row. I'm going to bring in a label, actually two of them, one for score and one for high score. All right, so let's go ahead and name these. So this, I like to always start with label, but then type in score. So I know exactly what that is. And this is going to say for the user to see when you first start the game that the score is 0. I also would like to separate these a little bit. So I'm going to do that with a margin. So I'm going to put a margin on the right side of this, about 35, so that it creates this space right here. Okay. Now on this label, it's going to be called my high score label. Right, so that's what I like to do. I'll have the label first. And so this for the user is going to be looking like this. Nice and neat, capital letters, space after that with a 0. All right, and again, I don't need a margin on this one. So that's it for that. And that should be in a row. So let me check over here that that's inside my row. Yes, okay. The next thing I need is my canvas. This is where my object is going to go around. Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted. Huh. So put it in the row, I think, which is not what we want. So let's come over here and we'll start like that. Yeah. And then we'll move it around so that that is up there. There we go. That's what I wanted. I can go ahead and make my row fit contents because I got all that figured out. I'm not putting anything else in that row. So I'm going to go ahead and say fit contents. There we go. Now at the bottom, I'm going to put a timer. So I'm going to bring in a label, another label. And put it at the bottom. Okay. This label is going to be my timer label. And this is where it's going to count down, I don't know, somewhere between 30 and 10 seconds. You can decide how tough you want to make this game. That's my timer label. It's going to have the time, I don't know, maybe left. And of course, we're going to start out, let's study with 10 seconds. This will at least allow me, if I start out with 10, it'll at least allow me to check things out quickly. All right. And in my canvas, I have my sprite there inside my sprite type, and all that's good. I'm just going to use the beaver for this one, so that's going to just stay like that. Let's see, what else do I need in here? I don't know. I might need some other things. Timer, maybe 2 timers. I know some people did 2 timers, so I'm going to bring in at least 1 for right now. So let's see what happened here. There we go. So timer, bring that in. That's a visible component. And maybe an alert too. I might use an alert. So I'm going to bring that in. Bring that in. So I saw, okay. Oops. So I think I'm going to do, my alert is going to be called my high score alert, just to kind of let the user know they got the high score. And my timer is just going to be the game timer. So I'm just going to call that timer game for the game. And I want that to be not enabled. I want to turn it on with a button. So I still got to bring in my button. And yeah, it needs a loop. So I'm actually going to call this my, yeah, that's fine. All right, let's just do that. And so I need a button to start this thing. So let's get a button. And maybe I want my button there for start. So this is going to be my start button. So that way the user knows to click that to start. And I think I might try to be red. There we go. Oh, not the text. The text white. make the background color red. Yeah, I like that. And okay, I like to name it things, so when I get into programming, I know what this is. Okay, I think that's everything I need. All right, so to start this game, we're going to click the start button. The timer is going to count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, and I'm going to have my my beaver, my sprite, jumping around the screen, and I got to click on it. My score is going to go up by 1 every time I click on it, and when I'm done, it's going to check to see if my score is higher than the high score, and update this high score if it is. I think that's everything I need. Yeah, let's go to blocks. So like I said, the first thing I'm thinking about doing is what happens when I start the button. Press the start button. So when the user presses the start button, we want to enable our timer. So I'm going to come in here and grab the timer enabled and set it to true. So remember, we left it false or not enabled. Now it's going to be true enabled. Then I'm going to start my timer. So as my timer fires, so one thing I didn't do back in design is set my timer to the right amount of time. I forgot to do that. I want to just go off every second. So I changed it to true for loops. It's going to loop through every second. It's going to be enabled, not enabled, and then it will become enabled when I press the start. Make sure it's at 1 second. Okay, back to blocks. So every time that this fires, what do I want to happen? Well, I want my sprite to move. So I'm going to move my sprite to a new random location, but it's got to be within my screen or my stage. So I'm going to say maybe 20, and my X is going to be left and right, so that's my width. So let's go look to see how wide my stage is. So it says here my width is 300. So let's use that. Blocks, 300. And then I can duplicate this, or I can just drag out another random block, but I can duplicate this. And I think that was 450. Let me just double check. Going back into design, look at my stage. It says 450 here for my height because Y is up and down. Okay, back to blocks. So this I push the button, my timer starts firing, the sprite is moving around. Let's check it out. Let's make sure this is working. So live test. There he is. Hit start. And there he is, moving around. Good. Excellent. So that part is working. All right. Check things often, guys. It's a really good plan to check your programming often. The next thing I want to happen is when I click on the sprite. So let's see. Events. Yeah, when sprite is clicked on right here. When sprite type or sprite 1, since I only have one sprite, I can just do sprite 1. I think either way it would work. When it's clicked on, I want to update a score. So I need a variable score. So I'm going to initialize a variable. This is going to be my score variable. And I'm going to start out, of course, with a score of 0. And so what I want to do is I want to make that score, every time the sprite is clicked, I want that score to go up by 1. So I'm going to set my score to what the variable was, which was 0 at first, to what it is now. So what it was, I'm sorry, +1. So every time I click on it, what it was +1 is now what it's going to be. Set that to that. And that's going to go up. But that doesn't display it. So I need to display it to the user. So that's where I'm going to come down to my score label. Label score. There it is. And every time this thing fires, it's going to update the score as well as change the score. Every time it gets clicked, I should say. Not time it fires. Clicked. There we go. So every time we click this guy, and we're going to get a point. So how do we do that? We do this variable +1. But I need to display that. So I'm going to do that with a join because I have a text and a number together. So this is going to say score, and try to keep it the same as what you have before. What is going on here? Score semicolon, space, and then I'm going to use my variable of my score here. So we're going to join those two things together all in one place for the label score to say the score. Okay, so there that is. Let's try it out. So again, I click the start button, he starts to move. I should click him and I get a point. There it is. So that's working. All right, very nice. That's all working. So what happens next? Well, we got to get to the end of the game. We've got to, got to get this to count down. So I don't think that was happening yet, right? So how do we get that to count down? Well, that's going to be in the timer fires. So what we're going to do is kind of the same thing we got here. We're going to make a variable that counts down with each time this fires, which is 1 second, to lower the time. So we're going to make another variable, and this is going to be my time variable. It's going to start out at, for this case, it's going to start out at, we said 10 seconds. What is going on? There we go. And then I'm just going to duplicate all this because it's really the same thing. It's just a different variable. Duplicate and put that there. Get this out of the way so we can see it. Now, instead of the app score, what am I doing? I'm doing the time. Up by 1? No, down by 1 because I'm counting. Starting at 10, I'm counting down. Okay. Not the score label. Nope, don't do the score label. That would mess things up. You want to do your label timer. And this is going to say time left. Remember, that's what we had before in the design of our label. Time. There we go. And again, I'd like to have a colon and a space. And then not this variable, but our time variable. Okay, so now what should happen? Every time that the guy moves, the sprite moves, the timer is also counting down, and we're displaying that to the user with this label timer text. Let's try it out. All right, so right now we got 10 seconds. Let's see what happens here. There it goes down to 9, 8, 7, and my score we know goes up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's where the game should end, but of course it doesn't. It goes down into negatives, so that's the problem. So now, once we have this counting down, we also want to check to see if the timer is 0, we want something else to happen. So we're going to do a control if do. So put that there. We're going to do a check to see if it's equal to or less than. Let's see. That's a logic. Here we are. Logic. I'm in logic. Let's see what that does. See what our choices are. Yeah, I think I want to do, just in case something happens and it gets less than 0, I'm going to do less than or equal to. So less than or equal to 0. And what is going to be less than or equal to 0? But this variable of time. So if it gets less than or equal to 0, that's when the game's got to end. Well, how do we end the game? Well, we're gonna stop the timer, right? Stop it from going. So this is going to stop. We're going to display the high score, or we're going to compare the high score. So we're going to do our alert now. And that's going to also update our high score. So let's see, alert high score. Well, actually, that's another if. So let's leave that right there for right now. All right, so let's try this out. Let's make sure that the game stops counting down at least. So I'm gonna throw that away for now because I don't know if that'll cause an error. Let's test out what we've done so far. So I click start, counts down, my points go up. It's counting down, 3, 2, 1, 0. Everything stops moving, score stops. Oh no, the score does not stop. So that's interesting. Maybe we can make that go away so you can't get scores. Maybe make him invisible. That's a good idea. All right, let's try that. And then we need to display the high score if they got a high score. But that's if they got a high score. So we gotta do another if. So if the time gets to be 0, can we do that? And another if. So if the app score, we need to make another variable, duplicate our high score variable. This is going to be a stored high score, because we want it to stay there forever and ever, so that on your machine or whatever you're using, that high score is there all the time. So we're going to store it. If it is greater than, right, the app score. Oh, no, the high score. So the current high score, if this is greater than that, then that means that's our new high score. So now we're going to call our alert. Let's get this out of the way. Let's put it up here. All right, that's our show our alert that you got a high score with a message. You know what? We should put a message in here. So let's do high score message, telling them that, hey, you got a high score. Let's do a join. You got the high, whoops. I don't know what's going on here when I type. High score of there we go. And then we'll put the score here. Also, we want to, before we do that, we want to change the high score to the app score. So that's another one of these set things right here. So I'm just going to duplicate this, come in here, change this to set the high score to the app score. So if the app score is greater than the high score, now we want the high score to be the same as the app score. Okay, that looks good. You got the high score, and then tell it that by showing the alert. All right, the other thing we talked about, we wanted to make if this is the end of the game right here, we want to make our sprite disappear. So how can we do that? We could do add remove, or what else could we do? Sprite. Looking for visible. Here, wonder if this will work. Is visible? It looks like it's an if then. Hide sprite. Let's try that one. All right, let's see if that works. Good. Okay, so this timer game fires is what's happening all the time, running through. Right now, we just added if the app time is less than or equal to 0, then the time game is false. It's no longer, the timer no longer fires. We need to hide the sprite so they can't click on it anymore. And also check to see if the app score is greater than the high score. If it is, set the high score to the new app score. So that now that's the new high score. And then we show an alert with this message that says you got the high score. There it is. All right, before I do this, I would like to go into my alert and just title it high score alert. Okay. Let's see how this runs. Okay. Start. He moves around. 7, 6. I should just get it 1. And that should be my high score at this point. There it is, high score. You got the high score of 1. I like a little space in here. And I don't need both cancel and confirm. I can just have cancel or something. Okay, what happens? The thing is gone, but my high score did not update. Let's see if I get, oh, and my score didn't update, and my time is still negative, and my sprite didn't come back. Oh, a lot to do, a lot to fix. All right, so first thing I want to do, write down some notes of what I need to do. I need my high score to update. So I got my message, there's my high score, but also I want to update my high score. So that's same as this right here, but we're going to change the variables to be my high score, right? Set the text to say high score space, and then set that to my high score. All right, let's see if that shows up now. Live test, start, get my 1. I might have to get 2 this time. So that's my new high score. Good. See how that changed that? I also don't want the alert to have the confirm and cancel buttons. So I'll go back to design, go to my alert. This is my alert, and I can just say, okay, I think that's better, and I don't need this. There we go. And then I also saw that my alert in my blocks message didn't have a space after the of, so I want to put a space there. So now it has a space there. Then when I click the start button, I noticed that my sprite did not come back into the game, so I want this to happen. I don't want it to be hide, I want to show him. I also need to reset a few things. So if you remember, we made this time 10, and we slowly counted down to 10. So we need to set our time back to 10. So set, not score, but I can use that. When we click the start button, we need to set our app time to 10. And you can change that to 20, 30, whatever you want, but I did 10 just so it's a little bit quicker. All right, let's see. What else do I have to do? I think that might be it. Let's see how this works. So I hit start. It's counting down. I get my high score of 3. I got the high score. My space is there. I got just okay. My high score is updated to 3. My score didn't go back to 0 though. Okay, so hit OK. My sprite's gone. When I hit start, my time left should go back to 10. And it should start counting down. But I think my score is not changing to 0. So let's see what happens. Yeah, see, my score is still 0. But my timer's right. So the last thing I need to do is get that score to go back to 0 when I start. Good. All right. Last thing. So what I need to do is reset my score maybe here to 0. So I'm going to take all of this. Yeah, I'm going to duplicate all of this to display the score. No, not that one. Did I move that one? No, I duplicated it. All right, throw that away. Well, no, I can use that. I just don't need this. Throw that away. I could use this though. No. So when I start the game, the score should be 0, right? And then I want to display that to the user. So I'm going to duplicate this and put that in there. All right. So now when I start the game, I set my time to 10. I start the timer. I show my sprite. I set the app score to 0, and then I show the user the app score to 0. and then everything else that we've done. Let's see how this works. Click start. He's moving around. I got a score of 5. You got the high score of 6. Now when I click on this, it shows my new high score and everything. But when I hit start, it should go back to 0. Let's see. It did. And begin. And let's not get the high score this time and see what happens. Is that it? Your score is 3 and your game is over. Maybe we should display a game is over. All right, let's do another alert. Game over. Let's try that. So I'm going to go back into design, grab my alert and duplicate it, and just game over alert is what I'm going to call this one. Game over. Okay. And same thing's the same. I just have an OK button. I don't need this cancel button, and should say game over. Right. That's all I need. Let's see. Now I need to show it in when it happens. So what happens is, if the score is greater than that, well, I need an else when it's not greater than that. That's what I'm going to do for my other alert. So duplicate this, go down here, and game over alert. All right. So anytime that we don't get a new high score, just say game over. There it is. I think that's it. Let's live test it one more time. Click start, counting down, click my thing. I'm not going to get the high score this time. Well, my high score is 0 anyway, so maybe I am going to get a high score. Let's see what happens here. Game over. So I did not get the high score. So it looks like I need to update the high score at the start of the game as well. I might, yeah, but this did pop up, but my high score is actually 6. So I think that's an error. So I need to go when I click start, or maybe when I open my screen. I think that's what I'm going to do. When Canvas loads, maybe. Let's try that. I want the high score to be displayed and updated. So that's this one right here. Duplicate that. Put that in there. All right, let's see if that works. Nope. Oh, yep, there it is. Good. So now my high score is 6, and I know that right from the get-go. All right, I think I'm done. Thank you, guys.